Sometimes you just gotta lay in your bed and fart about it. You gotta rip one, gotta let a big boy fly.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy coming to you with Creed 2, Creed again, more Creed harder,
Another Creed story.
the new batch
Mm.
in our main event today, Electric Creedaloo. And I just finished watching this movie like 10 minutes before we started this podcast. I had never seen it, as those of you who've been listening to this whole Rocky run know. There's a couple movies I hadn't seen. This was one of them. Just finished it, so we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. We have the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello. I was going to say good morning, but you might not be listening to this in the morning. But greetings, no matter what.
You could say good morning to me.
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Mm.
How are you?
I'm
have
good.
your Starbucks?
No, I didn't have time. If I'd gotten out of my ass out of bed, I would have. So that's just probably my destination after we record.
Man, have these Rocky movies and Creed movies taught you nothing? Get up. Go for it.
I know.
Home team.
Hey, they said go for it again in this one.
They did. And like he had to get up quite a bit because he got knocked down a lot. Eric, it's not about how hard you fall. It's how hard you get out of bed in the morning to get Starbucks.
If you get knocked down, you get up again. Never going to bring you down. Yeah, there you go.
Why didn't he come out to Chumbawamba playing that? Why did he ask his wife to sing him to the ring?
That would have been amazing.
I have to tell you, Eric, there was a couple moments watching this movie where I was convinced some characters weren't real. I'll talk about it later.
Okay, interesting.
But like it was weird because it was like multiple characters. It did
weird. I have no idea who you're talking about, so now I'm curious. We'll get there.
All right. Not much.
Like, is Adonis Creed real?
No, exactly. Is it all just a snow globe, a Krampus snow globe at the end where it's like none of this is real? Not much in the realm of entertainment news this week, though. If you've watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and you are a Hudson Hawk Patreon patron, you can catch us talking about that movie for over an hour as a bonus episode. And if you're not a Hudson Hawk, catch the Hawk and sign up for these bonus episodes. And we also did one on the whole new DC universe plan that James Gunn laid out. So that if you're craving entertainment news this week, you can go back and listen to that if you already have. I guess the only thing on the docket is just to say that Avatar: The Way of Water is the number 3 movie of all time at the box office, which is, as somebody who was a James Cameron defender and thought this movie would do way better than people thought. I don't think I thought it would do.
No, same here.
I did not think it would reach this level.
I was actively making fun of people saying this movie was going to bomb, but I also thought this movie isn't making it in like the top 5 movies ever.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it's really ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Mostly ridiculous because I'm probably more of a fan of Avatar than some of the outspoken people in our Twitter echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I don't want 5 Avatar movies, Eric. I want 3. Like a trilogy sounds good to me. That making 4, but they're definitely making 4 and 5 now. So
yes, I did see. I can throw onto this. I did see a story where Cameron said that he wasn't interested in doing any spin-off series for Disney Plus because, it's all about the cinematic experience for him, and he doesn't like the distractions of doing yoga or taking a walk. I'm sorry. He's saying those are things you can do without distraction, and that's what a movie is for him. And so he wouldn't want people to be watching an Avatar series. Plus, he says technology is still a little bit away before they could do like CGI on that level on TV. But either way, it sounds like he doesn't want to do it. So
I agree with that. As as someone of a film lover of a certain age, like who still enjoys the movie going experience. I understand his love of cinema.
Yeah,
it's funny. We have a chain here called Cinemark, and they're like, and there's like go see something cinematic, and there's nothing more cinematic than Cinemark. It's a really dumb intro to the Cinemark movie chain. He is all about the movie going experience, and as we've said, Avatar is not a movie that a lot of people revisited at home. I would say, it's something that it was very front loaded in movie theaters because it's such a 3D experience, and that's the way he intends it to be. So, and as somebody who actually does yoga a few times a week, I understand like taking that time to try to disconnect and taking that time for yourself
Sure.
to be away from everything and to focus on one thing, be that hot yoga or the Na'vi and their plight against the Sky People.
I have to mention that as an aside, Cinemark, the closest movie theater to me geographically is a Cinemark, the Century 7 movie theater. I just almost never go there because I have AMC A-list, and it's a better deal than whichever Cinemark is offering. But Cinemark has the amazing Ghostface popcorn bucket, which I read already was put in theaters and has already been selling out. And so I forgot to go buy mine, and I bet it's already gone, but I'm going to try.
Eric, I have my Cinemark Cats cup from the Cats movie.
Ah, nice.
Maybe there is nothing as cinematic as Cinemark. As far as licensed
Cats
merch.
And Ghostface popcorn buckets. We got it all, folks.
We got it all. So little lean in the entertainment news this week, but that's okay. We could talk about other things like, hey, Eric, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I guess that's our personal minutia for this week. Eric has no.
I'm not asking about how he is, by the way.
That's fine. Yeah, he doesn't care. That's fine. I'll tell you, I'm excited about concerts coming up here, Eric. Ooh. Concerts. Not only did I get backup Depeche Mode tickets because it's the thing where they announced the big tour and it's only a few dates, but then they announced the bigger tour and they actually are coming to your town. You get tickets to see them in a different city, and then they eventually come back to your town. So I have 2 sets of Depeche Mode tickets. But then, Eric, Peter Murphy sings David Bowie.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's coming
crazy.
In April.
That's so what?
Well, it's like a David Bowie We Love David Bowie tour. I don't know. I can't remember.
But that's like a lot to love. Like you could throw in a cover or two into your set.
Well, Bauhaus very famously, the biggest hit probably, because they really didn't have hits, was their cover of Ziggy Stardust, which is funny because it was a cover only a few years after the actual Ziggy Stardust came out. It's the song that Bauhaus last year when they were touring closed their set with. But he is the singer of basically a hodgepodge band that includes a couple members of A Perfect Circle, a guitarist who worked with Bowie, and then also Royston Langdon of Space Hog, who's back in the news these days because of the use of their one hit in the first Guardians trailer in the meantime.
Yes.
And Royston Langdon once married or attached to Liv Tyler. I can't remember. Anyway.
Attached to sounds like there was like some weird
Cronenbergian experiment, they're addicted to surgery.
Yeah. You talking about covers is making me think about so I have a new iPhone and I decided to put my entire Apple Music library on it. Because in the past I would be selective, but I'm like, oh, I got an iPhone with tons of memory now. I can just put everything on it. And this includes like CDs I burnt 20 years ago, and stuff. And just so many random things because there's CDs. A lot of them were freebies when I worked at stores, but others were things that got sent promotionally to IGN. So it was funny because, when Kate Bush had this huge resurgence of Running Up That Hill, thanks to Stranger Things, people mentioned the Placebo cover of that song. I really like Placebo. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they did that cover. People mentioned it was in the Vampire Diaries, I believe the pilot. And I was like, oh yeah, because I watched that. I remember that.
Yeah.
But I have that song. But the reason I have that song, and I'm just being reminded because I'm like, suddenly songs are playing. I have that song because it was also in Bones, the TV series, whose soundtrack I burnt because we got it sent a promo copy at IGN and it had some good songs on it. So Placebo is Running Up That Hill has featured in Bones. I have Boreanaz and Deschanel smiling at me as I'm on my phone as I listen to Running Up That Hill.
Speaking of Placebo, which you just worked, they have a couple covers, I believe. One of my favorite of their songs is their cover of Talk Talk's Life's What You Make It. Life's What You Make It is one of my favorite 80s songs by Talk Talk. Like, I love the original, but I also really love the Placebo cover of that song. And this week's Last of Us had it's still effective, as cliche as it's become to have the slowed down maudlin version.
I did smirk a little bit about them doing it, but
but it got me. I was like weeping too. Paired with the scene it was paired with, because it was the end credit song for that, and it looks it's not the final episode obviously, but it does bookend the first episode, which uses the original song The show and the game itself also has an 80s vibe to it because it has acoustic covers of True Faith and Take on Me. True Faith, actually, we already heard that Ashley Johnson cover of it at the end of one of the previous episodes. But the TV show has leaned in even more to some of the 80s elements, especially this weekend's episode. So anyway.
I don't think you named what song it was that was at the end of this episode.
Oh, it was a cover of Never Let Me Down Again.
Right.
Which is, there are plenty of covers of Depeche Mode, but and so frustratingly too, I found the artist who actually did this cover, and they're on Spotify, but that cover isn't or wasn't as of a few days ago anyway. Like, so there wasn't any way to actually listen to the full version. Maybe there is today.
Okay. Well, we'll pivot out of our music tangent in one moment, but I'll say a very Eric specific gripe is that you cannot find, like, just legally easily anywhere, the Sinead O'Connor's "Put Your Hands on Me." You can find that song.
From Dream Warrior.
Yeah, I want your hands on me. It was featured in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. The Dream Child. No, sorry. Yeah.
I messed you up. Yeah.
You totally missed the Dream Master. That song is readily available, but not the version that features MC Light, which is the version played in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And you can watch on YouTube. You can watch the music video.
I was going to say she made a video for that song. Yeah,
it did. But the song that if you could find on streaming services is just Sinead O'Connor, the original version before they added the MC Light rap part to it, and that vexes me, Matt.
I know, it's irksome.
Yes, come on, people. What are we doing here?
All right. That's it. Let's get into the rest of this. That's kind of we chit-chatted. We said, how you doing? We said, I'm drinking my coffee.
Talk about songs and movies and TV shows. What more do you want?
Yeah. Joe has written in on Patreon, who had written in previously, and he even mentions that. He calls back to that. Joe writes in, I wasn't trying to write in every week, but this actually pertains to an active police investigation. I was contacted by the Philadelphia Police Department to look into a suspicious death that occurred on February 2nd, 2012. The man in question was Paul Panino, known to his friends as Paulie. I was just wondering if Matt has an alibi for the date in question, considering how cold and callous he has been about the deceased. Eric, you have a real opportunity to help your friend here. If you would just at least try out the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, I can make this entire investigation disappear. I have no comment about my whereabouts on the date in question. I've never known a Paul, much less a Polly, in my life. If I did, I would probably love this man. So anyway,
I saw this message, and it took me on that journey where for a split second I thought he was being real. Like, you know,
the story was well told, because
where's this going? Where's this going? But I appreciate it, and we could have when we got to that movie and the fact that Polly was dead by the movie, I was just like, I thought beforehand, like, how much will we talk about Matt's celebration and why don't we spend a bunch longer? Can't we have a flashback to his death? So Matt can cheer.
Yeah, but it's like a ridiculous Nordberg style, like, death of, like, getting hit by a truck, falling off of a cliff, like all these different things. Drives him into a fireworks factory,
he's, like, pinballs down things,
and then somehow also ends with like autoerotic asphyxiation, and then like it's like, oh, Paulie, and then the turtles are watching him.
The robot could be involved somehow.
Oh, well, the robot's involved in all of it. The robot did it. The robot planned this.
Revenge.
Who could plan such a convoluted death, but a superior AI?
Killbot. Yeah.
Paulie's Killbot. So let's get into our good things to enjoy.
Wait. I'm going to read one message from Curtis.
Go for it.
Helms, just because, has a correction we deserved, which is the song. This is about our Super Bowl, when we did our special episode about all the movie ads and trailers.
Back then. Okay.
On Super Bowl Sunday. Curtis notes that the song in the Mario Brothers plumbing commercial doesn't just sound like late 80s commercial rap. It's the actual theme song of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show from 1989, starring Captain Lou Albino as Mario. I thought it was a really fun callback. You know what, Curtis? It was, and it went right over our heads.
And now I'm gonna offer Eric a correction. It's Captain Lou Albano.
Okay.
Though I wish he was an albino, because that would.
Thank you. Everyone's gonna correct everyone.
Everyone's gonna
it's
correct.
funny because I almost made a mention about like, oh, how do we script something with Captain Lou, man? And then I screwed up his name. But yes, I do remember watching that show a little bit when I lived in New York.
You had to. It was actually a requirement in New York to watch the Super Mario
I didn't watch
Brothers
it.
show.
I didn't watch it enough that the song was ingrained in my head, and that is a very good callback that I'm sure was appreciated by the people who understood it in the moment. That wasn't us, unfortunately. Thank you, Curtis.
All right, thanks, Curtis.
Yeah.
Eric, what is your good thing to enjoy this week?
Well, first I'm going to just do a brief callback mini good thing to enjoy, which is just say I mentioned Party Down a few weeks ago that I was rewatching season 1 and 2 on Hulu in anticipation of the new season. So I just want to mention the new season premieres this week on February 24th on Stars. I've seen the first 3. I have 5 episodes. I just didn't have time to watch them yet. But the first 3 are really good. And I think deal the best they can. You know, there has to be an innate sadness, one might say real sadness, to if these people who the whole idea of Party Down is that they're almost all want to be actors or in the entertainment business in some level, because that's like a thing people in LA do, is stuff like this while they're trying to make it. So if they're all still working in party food preparation and serving,
or have to come back to it, or
it would be pretty sad. And they deal with that, and they deal with that in if they are doing that, why it is sad, and maybe there's some other ways they can work around that. And not only does it work with the passage of time, but it has a little bit of a clever little mini twist with the passage of time, in what I've seen. And yeah, it's really fun, and it's some of the cast it seems like might filter in and out, which I think also makes sense given both the plot line and the getting all these actors back together. And Jennifer Garner is a main cast member. I didn't realize she's like part of the main cast.
Oh, I just assumed she guested on an episode. Yeah.
No, she's
good for her.
Listed in it. She's not part of the Party Down catering crew, but she becomes.
She had a better than average Punisher movie that came out like 5 years ago.
Oh,
Peppermint. Yeah, that was a good plane. Guys, it's a good plane movie if it's available for you now. Good fun.
Yes, she is part of the new cast. And God, I'm forgetting people's names, and that's not great.
Dan Marino, Adam Scott, Ryan Hansen.
Oh wait, here's how I'll get you all the names, because I've got the press release for the premiere last night. Tyrell Jackson Williams and Zoe Chow are both also in the cast now. James Marsden has like a recurring role. Anyway, lots of good people, lots of good guests. Oh, am I allowed to say? I don't even know what's embargoed. I'll just say, and just in case, just to be careful, I'll say an actor that you've seen Adam Scott work with in the past appears on this.
Man, that could be show. At least 2 or 3ee people.
Okay, someone from Parks and Recreation.
Okay,
who we all.
He's
like,
only been in a 2 things. Yeah.
Who does things that we like and is likable, appears in this show. Anyway, I've quite enjoyed it. Oh, I'm gonna give us tiny little spoiler. It's just like a throwaway line. There's like there's a funny mention, I think, of the fact CW reboot of the Lost Boys is used as like a little like jokey reference for something that's being cast. And I thought that was fun because Rob Thomas, who is one of the creators of the show, for years tried to do a CW reboot of the Lost Boys. It didn't get off the ground. So you get a little meta, guys. Anyway, I enjoyed Party Down. You should watch the original seasons on Hulu. You should watch the new season on Stars. If you're watching the new season on Stars, that means you have Stars, and you can watch the first 2 seasons there too. There you go. That's my mini, except it wasn't so many.
That wasn't even your recommendation because there was an addendum. Okay, what's your new one?
My actual is Cocaine Bear, the bear on cocaine, which I saw last night at a screening, and I tweeted about how there's just this funny thing. Universal, whoever is greenlighting things, I want to shake their hand because they're like, let's get weird. And we had Violent Night, Megan, and Cocaine Bear 3 months in a row, and I think that's delightful. Yeah, Cocaine Bear. I mean, if you've seen the trailer, I kind of think you know if you're in or not. And if you are in, I think movie delivers on the promise of the trailer. It's really fun. It's really, it embraces the fact that it's rated R. People, it's pretty bloody and gruesome at points, not like constantly, but there are moments that are very visceral. The acting is great. I think that everyone in this, I mean, you kind of look at the cast and you are like, those are a great bunch of great actors, several of whom were on The Americans together. Everyone like sort of
a TikTok guy who sort of like anchors the entire trailer, by the way.
Oh, what's that guy's name? He's so funny.
Well, that's the thing is like he got he got a career boost from his TikTok. Basically, I think it's kind of like IKEA employee rants as far as like customer service rants from someone behind the cash register, and then like boosted his stand-up comedy career, and now he's got this. He is a very funny dude.
And I'm not
TikTok guy is his name officially.
His name is not TikTok guy. You have Ray Liotta and Scott Seiss. I hope I'm saying his last name is who it is. But the I think a little bit of an MVP in this movie, and I was really happy to sort of see him. Him
is the cocaine bear? Yeah,
is the cocaine bear? No, but also Alden Ehrenreich. How do you say his name? I never said his name.
Han Solo.
Yeah, young Han Solo is very funny in this movie. And he and O'Shea Jackson Jr. are a good like sort of buddy duo throughout the movie. And I really liked the kid actors. Now Brooklyn Prince was, when she was a tiny little girl, was the star of The Florida Project, which is a great movie I've mentioned before. But Christian Convery, who plays her best pal Henry, and I guess is on Sweet Tooth, he's great. And he's like supernatural too, and the two of them have a really good rapport. Anyway. I thought it was really fun. There are some lulls. There are some moments where I think it kind of slows down a little bit and isn't quite as funny.
Not enough cocaine being given to the bear.
But then once you get back to the cocaine and the bear,
cocaine, man. I have a feeling that this movie is going to play. For some reason, Snakes on a Plane fell flat for me. The trailer was amazing. The overall movie, I feel like this movie is going to be as entertaining as the trailer is. Which I didn't feel Snakes on a Plane was. So, which I'm just bringing up because that's sort of the go-to ridiculous big like wide release movie like that people think of when they think of Cocaine Bear. But and by the way, while I'm being like weird and teasy about like Adam Scott and his former co-star, I'll say these, it's set in 1985. There's a lot of great 80s needle drops, but the opening credits, like the universal title and the opening credits, are set to a song that will make you grin, Matt, like it did me, because of Elizabeth Banks, who's directed this movie, her cinematic history, and the fact that when she chose this song, she had a personal tie to this song in her cinematic history. Is it the Orange Cassidy entrance theme?
It's not. Oh, maybe it is.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You nailed it.
I got it.
I'm not even gonna say what they are. People can look that up if they want to.
Non-wrestling fans, you're gonna have to do a little Googling.
And you threw me for a second because I was like, what are you talking about? Are you just being weird? And then I was like, no, you're not being weird.
No, I am, but I'm right. Yeah. So
you're being very specific. Anyway, Cocaine Bear. I had a blast, and I hope you do too. There you go.
All right.
And there's two mid-credit scenes.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Thanos? Okay.
Yes.
So Thanos on cocaine.
And Keg.
Yeah.
It's a Violent Night Santa and Megan being recruited to team up with Cocaine Bear.
I have not seen the Cocaine Bear yet. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like an amazing time at the cinema, but it won't be spent at Cinemark. It'll be Alamo Drafthouse. Okay.
Sure.
My pick this week, because I haven't actually watched anything new, but this is something I watched like a month ago. During some of my turmoil, I watched Batman and Bill, which is a documentary that got a lot of hype back in 2017 when it was released. You can watch it on Hulu, and you may have seen it, you may all know about it, but it's basically the efforts of a guy named Mike Tyler Nobleman to get Bill Finger, one of the co-creators, if not the sole creative creator of Batman, credited for his work in the entire Batman mythos, when for so long it was Bob Kane, and Bob Kane himself would tell you it was Bob Kane. And but really, when it came to the creation of most of what we know about Batman, including the supporting characters, the rogues gallery of villains, the look, everything like that, it was a guy named Bill Finger who basically died alone and penniless, very sadly. And Mike Tyler Nobleman sort of made it a crusade, a decades-long sort of crusade to get him credit, and he couldn't do it without a living family member, which was very hard to track down. So this is a documentary about how Mark and all the efforts it took to get Bill Finger finally get credit. I believe it was on Batman v Superman when he finally got the first official on-screen credit for his contributions, major contributions to the Cape Crusader. Now, I will say this, that it's a great documentary. Mark Tyler Nobleman is a lot as far as like his righteousness, a little bit of self-righteousness, but
it's always it's a decision a documentary filmmaker is making. Am I literally on camera?
He's not directing this either. This was directed by Don Argut and Shane Joyce.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't self-direct.
Okay, never mind what I just said then.
Yeah. But so it was still a conscious effort by the directors to like, and he's a lot, and like this took a lot of time away from his family, and he can get a little preachy, but when you start digging into Bill Finger's story and how much he got screwed, and you start seeing like Bob Kane in interviews and like how absolutely monstrous he was about this stuff, you let that slide a bit. But Bob Kane, by the way, who sounds exactly like Stabone from Fast Times. Bob Kane, who got like celebrity status a bunch of times because of the Batman TV show in the 60s, and then again he was still alive during the Batman,
especially when
Batman 89, he's walking red carpets and he's doing all this stuff. So I recommend Batman and Bill. It's I won't say too much more about it, but basically there are a lot of talking heads in here that are great. Kevin Smith is a big one because he was a big part of actually also getting this documentary in front of people, like as far as like hyping it up and putting it out there and stuff like that. So Batman and Bill on Hulu.
I've always wanted to see this and I haven't. But this is like kind of an infamous story within the comics industry because look, I'm going to evoke it. Spoiler for something I'm going to say later because I want to bring up more about like Stallone's sort of ongoing battle with like Erwin Winkler and feeling like he was screwed not having ownership of Rocky. It's a classic thing in comics of like both the fact that you don't own the characters you created for the big comic companies, and the fact that are you making enough money off those characters as they become popular later. So many of these adaptations are happening, and are these people being paid properly? Usually the answer is no, they're not. This was sort of a very egregious one though, because he wasn't even getting credit. Like, say what you will about how what Marvel's done with their creators, and there's plenty to say, and even the fact that Stan Lee for many years was probably taking more credit than he should for characters he co-created, but the actual credits always said Spider-Man created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Like that was never like but this just said Batman created by Bob Kane. So it's worth noting that DC a few years ago finally listened, and it now says in interesting credits Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. So you didn't get the
it's still not enough because Bill Finger is largely responsible for everything we know as Bat lore right now. But and then it's also a shitty part of the story you'll see in the documentary. Like Bob Kane like literally faked a childhood sketch that he did of like Batman. Yeah, he's pretty despicable. Okay. Speaking of despicable, that Drago family, man. Let's get into Creed 2 now. Next week, we are going to watch Creed 3, and that recap will be available for our Hudson Hawks. As a new movie, Creed 3 will be on Patreon, and we are starting a full new franchise with next week's main event, leading into the theatrically released, wasn't always the case, Evil Dead Rise. We are doing an Evil Dead movie franchise recap, which will start with the original.
Not all movie and then some.
Yes, not always the movies. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to do The Evil Dead, the original Sam Raimi film. And that we're starting that next week. And that is rentable, or if you've got AMC Plus. Does that include Shudder too, Eric, or is it just AMC Plus?
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so if you have Shudder or AMC Plus, you can watch it there as well.
All right.
So this is the original The Evil Dead. What year was that? 81. So don't watch the 2013 one.
I mean, you can because we'll talk about it eventually.
Well, but don't watch it first.
Yeah, don't watch it first. It'll be weird, even though it's a good one. It's a good one. All right. let's get into Creed 2. Again, fresh on my brain, though I haven't had enough time away from it to sort of formulate full thoughts because I just watched it.
Well, the first thing, it's funny. So yeah, obviously full spoilers ahead for Creed 2. But the first thing I'll say is I was like, well, Matt, I don't think we are supposed to think that Drago family is despicable in this
No.
movie.
So so I wasn't going to say it yet, but I'll start this off by saying like, okay, so this movie didn't have me as emotional as Creed until the end with the Drago family. Like that was the part that got me actually the most emotional in this entire movie, because a lot of this movie, and this is a good movie, it's not a bad movie. It's pretty good. It made a lot of money. And but this is Adonis Creed getting his Rocky sequel, which is to say there's elements of Rocky 3 in here. There's elements of Rocky 4 in here. Like all the things that we have dealt with in the past with Rocky movies of like, he gets beat and then people don't want to help train him. And then people don't want him to fight, but then eventually they do help train him and they do want him to fight. And then, like all these sort of conflicts that we dealt with Rocky in the 80s come into Creed's life in a way we've seen before, but it's still interesting because it's new, it's a different character and stuff like that. So the most interesting element here is some of the Drago stuff that we see with Victor Drago and his father, Ivan, played by the returning Dolph Lundgren, and how that actually shapes out at the end. Because I was kind of I was like, there's a part of me watching this movie, it's like, man, Ivan didn't learn at all, did he? Because at the end of 4, he was being berated and chastised, and he was like, I fight for myself. You'd think he made a turn, but it turns out he kind of didn't, because he lost everything, and he kind of doubled down on that harshness, right? So, yeah, at the end, it wasn't like Creed winning, spoilers. It was basically like Victor seeing his mom gone and Drago like actually having a change of heart and feeling for us. Like all that stuff really got me. That's what got me the most. And I was surprised. I
sometimes will get emotional. Like, I mean, we'll get back to it obviously, but I will tell you, it's funny because I thought, I hope Matt hasn't seen one of my because I don't know if I've tweeted or not, but I remember even thinking months ago before we even knew we were doing this movie. I remember being like, sometimes I get emotional thinking about Ivan Drago throwing in the towel to save his son.
Good.
Man,
I
was like,
I was really happy for that, because the movie really up until that point was missing that really emotional missing that thing. And I'm not saying it didn't have great moments. I'm just saying something we hadn't seen before, something new with a character, because all that came about the last like 5-10 minutes of this movie was Rocky seeing his son again, like bringing the granddaughter to Apollo's grave, which he'd never been to the grave before. Like all these things that had never happened really culminated in that final few minutes of the movie. Because up until that point, it was, I don't know. I don't want to say standard because that undersells the movie, because it's a good movie. But but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's just stuff we'd seen in not only Rocky movies but sports movies before, right? So stuff like that. But yeah, this is a new director at this point, because Ryan Coogler had moved on to the MCU, and this is Stephen Caple Jr., who is actually directed, which will come out this summer, Rise of the Beast, the new Transformers movies, but I hadn't seen the movie he did previous to this at all. So this was my first of his films. It lacked some of the visual flair of Ryan Coogler. It does its own thing, but the fights feel different, the ring entrances feel different. There's just different stuff going on. The colors are a little more muted. But yeah, I think it still felt like a Creed movie. It wasn't like anything completely out of the ordinary or...
No. It doesn't, the fights don't have the pop that Coogler brought to them, I think. They're well done. And there's definitely some moments that I think, are like, ooh, like when I winced about some things that happened in them. But as far as Coogler's visual flair is a little more, in your face in a good way. Very, very.
So a lot of this movie was taking the most outlandish Rocky movie, which was Rocky 4.
Yep.
And bringing it all on down to Omelet Town, if you know what I mean, bringing it, grounding it, making it believable as a Creed premise. Because it is such an sort of outlandish narrative.
I mean, it's funny. There's a very meta moment in this movie where Adonis is being interviewed, and he's like, "This is what the people want, right?"
Yeah.
Because it was a fan joke, but not joke when Creed came out that he's got to fight Ivan Drago's son.
But it
Like,
also it is kind of right there. It is
right.
It is kind of like, so how do you do it and not make it feel like a gimme?
Yeah.
And how do you make it? How do you earn it? And that being said, I think a lot of that has to do, and even though it's not a huge part of the movie, a lot of that has to do with the Drago family. And because rarely it's not like we haven't seen behind the curtain of the bad guy or the villain or the adversary, at least the obstacle before, but it's been a while. Like Rocky Balboa, we understood that, I guess, the Mason-Dixon thing, but it wasn't like we cared about any of that stuff. And the British guy last in the first Creed movie, we got his sign, but it's also like we never felt for him. And if at most what we could hope for is like a respect at the end of the match, like that they weren't a full villain and that was sort of their only saving grace.
Right.
But here, Victor Drago, played by in his first film role, Florian Munteanu, Florian Munteanu, if I'm saying that correctly, which I'm probably not, who would go on to be Razor Fist in the Shang-Chi movie.
Because everyone in the Creed movies is also part of the MCU.
Yes, but then also he plays Krieg in the Borderlands movie that will come out someday. They're doing reshoots or finish or still in the midst of doing reshoots of that. Him and Dolph Lundgren returning as Drago and sort of their struggles and seeing like that the thing that really helps right before the final fight is that dinner scene where Brigitte Nielsen returns as Ludmilla, who I don't know who the important guy is supposed to be that she's married to now. I don't know what his position is, but he's someone high within the ranks of Russian society or government.
Sure.
And she's just, obviously is hitched her wagon to a much more prominent person after the fall of Ivan Drago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just that whole thing and like seeing how Florian, Victor reacts to that and like his life. It adds a lot to the movie.
No, it does. And because like obviously it has this step up because we already know Ivan Drago and we knew him in a movie where he was just like emotionless and if he dies, he dies. And so yeah, like there's already sort of it comes with that baggage, but uses it in a good way. Even just of course starting out with the fact that they're living this very low rent life.
They're not even in Russia. I mean, they're in what is now war torn Kiev.
Well, yeah, they're in pre-war torn Ukraine. Yeah.
So they are sort of exiled, and they're fighting, to live. He refers to themselves as stray dogs who only know how to fight. It's funny when he meets with Rocky at Adrian. Like, it's a great scene. Like, he's just Drago appearing in Adrian's somehow like really feels important and heavy. Just sort of sitting there alone, and but where we learn that he's just still the same cold person. But he's basically like, after that fight, I lost my country, I lost my wife, and I was expecting Rocky to be like, you killed a dude, like no remorse. So, and then this movie, knowing that Stallone doesn't, no spoilers really, because we kind of know, doesn't return for Creed 3. I was very happy that they sealed off that Bobby Robert Rocky Jr. Thing, like by the end of this, because that would have bugged the shit out of me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have a lot more to say at the end about this movie's positioning is like possibly the last time we'll see Rocky, but what's happened since with Stallone, because there's so much off screen.
By the way, this movie starts very much like Iron Man 2, which is like showing showing the shitty situation that the Dragos are in over in the Eastern Bloc.
Thanks to our heroes.
Thanks to the hero, the ruin, complete with newspaper clippings and stuff like that, and because even I was watching it, I didn't know who it was at first. I could assume, I could guess, but I was like, was that supposed to be Brigitte in the picture frame, with the kid? But yeah, so Drago's out there, and Florian Munteanu's like physique and stature is ridiculous. Like, he is just a monster. So it makes sense why he'd be in the MCU and stuff like that. And he's we see Drago. So the first thing we do is we're introduced to this side of the world, and we see Dolph Lundgren right away, and so we know what the movie's going to be about. And it does the thing of sort of like grounding it and personalizing Drago and the world that he lives in way more than Rocky IV ever did, which was all just a superhero movie in its own way. So
yeah.
And then we've got we cut right to Adonis winning the title from Stuntman Wheeler, who was the guy in the first movie that beat him in the gym for his car, but then was supposed to fight Conlon in England, but got injured during the fight at the press conference and all that stuff. So we got him basically winning the title
and his car back.
And his car back. Was that even part of the deal? Because he's saying he's demanding the car, but was that
no. The commentators say that, and we hear the car's back on the line. So I think they heard right. Is the
well? I think the biggest takeaway from this fight is that we see Bianca again. So Tessa Thompson's back, and she looks like her hearing aid has leveled up. It looks like she's got
because her hearing is leveled down. It is,
and even during this match itself, like she starts feeling stuff in her head as far as like her hearing is degrading at a more rapid pace, and she needs stronger hearing aids. But like the fact that when he wins the match, it's the car that he's focused on. He's almost in a fugue state when he wins, where like she has to tell him like, you won the title, right? Do you know what you did? Because he's just like, for him, it really was about that fight in the gym in the first movie.
But also we do learn that was Apollo's car, which I don't think we knew in the first one.
Okay. So when he's driving up to the cheesesteak place, got it. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now it makes more sense, and it's the only thing that his father left him, like, which is saying something considering that, like, because we didn't even know going into this that Apollo knew his mistress was pregnant.
But I don't think we should take that literally, because I think it's contradictory, because I think the first movie might even say he didn't know she was pregnant.
Okay, so maybe the mom just
I don't think we should, I don't take him saying it's the only thing my dad left me, because obviously he's once Marianne took him in, he got a lot of money. But I think it's just like it's a tangible thing. Marianne must have given him, this was your dad's car, and so I don't think
all right, I guess
that's how I read that.
I like it the other way, but if we're looking to make it a little more, streamline it and make it make sense a bit more, that makes sense.
They also make sure. So by the way, I saw this movie in the theater,
and he did take a pre-match shit.
Yes, I saw this movie in the theater, I think twice, but I hadn't seen it since. And so I actually forgot about a lot of details. Like I remember the big stuff, and I remembered all the stuff with the Dragos. But I'd forgotten, for instance, I'd forgotten, Matt, that the big mid movie fight, but I also forgot the opening fight. Like I forgot that there was the two other fights, and
it's a three-fight film. Yeah,
it's a three-fight film. Him meeting Stuntman Wheeler, who they make sure to mention is not what he once was. Like he's 3 years past his prime.
Right.
They mention. So you're sort of. I remember that. I kind of remember that Adonis was the champ in this movie, but not that we actually see him become the champ.
So let me bring up Rocky, where it's like he's Adonis is backstage before the fight. Bianca's there, his team is there, and then once they all leave, he emerges from the corner speaking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, it's an interesting way to introduce Rocky. And I'm like, but it's also weird. Is he dead? This is when I first thought that Rocky was just in Adonis. I thought he was just in Donnie's mind. I was like, okay. And then Eric, the next scene didn't help either, because he wasn't out there, or he was, but he didn't get in the ring to congratulate him. He's only off in the corner clapping or cheering. He doesn't talk to anybody else. Like when he wins the title, he's just down on the ground. Then the next scene, he's showing Rocky the proposal ring, and Rocky just leaves. So he doesn't see Bianca. So I'm like, they're fucking sensing me. And I'm like, he died of cancer, which would be really depressing, because he's like, I don't fight if you don't fight. And I'm like, oh my God, he's killing him. Then there was a moment where I was like, is Drago real? What if the whole thing in my head, I was like, what if Drago and Rocky aren't even real?
What if it ends and they're force ghosts watching their son? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, and literally, that would have been, honestly, that would have probably been amazing. I could have pulled that off successfully.
Yeah.
Both, not just Rocky, because maybe people could have predicted that, but Drago as well was also not real, and they're both just driven by what better message than they are driven by like their father's rivalries is that like the ghosts still haunt them and keep them going forward. Now, if Apollo showed up, you'd know something was up. You're like, hey, maybe someone's a ghost, but
That's very funny. I did not think. I of course I understand what you mean because they do it in this very specific way, which I think is why did they do that cinematically? I think for a couple reasons. One, sort of like the significance of Rocky, like having him appear on his first scene, like he's like off camera but speaking to him.
I mean,
but
wait
also
for everyone to leave, like everyone has to, is gone,
But Rocky's whole thing in this movie, because in that first scene, Unk You Good, it's like something's really distracting Rocky, which is really his issues with the son not being resolved, and the fact that it's like he is ready to kind of step away finally. So I think that you're seeing this sort of examples of him already kind of being a little more distanced than he had been. But I do understand cinematically why it would read like maybe.
Well, also when he's like, Unk You Good, he's like, no, I'm dead. Like, what are you talking about?
I died 3 years ago.
But then he brings up like the zoo proposal.
Mr. Tiger gets talked
about. He's like, and then I've invited Mr. Tiger to my wedding, and the motherfucker never showed up. Like,
no one came to the wedding because we know no one.
We don't know anybody. He's like, I didn't even invite Paulie, but he showed up.
But I was like, at least there's one more person at this wedding.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I guess you could take Mr. Tiger's spot.
I would have preferred him as the best man.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, and then I'll just bring it up now. I thought at the end of the movie when Adonis has his big entrance in Russia, and Bianca is singing, I was like, wait, she's there, or is this hologram Bianca? I thought it was real. I was like, I thought he was gonna step out and walk through her. I thought that she was gonna
You were really manifesting all sorts of strange things with this.
I didn't know she was gonna be in Russia. Okay, so
Bianca, give me Russia. The proposal scene, well, it's an obvious joke that she doesn't have her hearing aids in and doesn't hear all the stuff he says to her. I very much liked when she sees him kneeling there and slams the door and his face all shocked. It was a funny moment that Tessa Thompson played well.
Yeah, and then basically the proposal goes well, but then they think about whether they should move to LA because there are record labels out there and stuff like that. And then the decision really sort of gets made once Rocky says he's not gonna like train. Then later on, like they decide to move to LA, because at first he really doesn't want to leave Philly because of Rocky.
Yes.
Once Rocky like isn't on board with fighting Victor, then they like makes the decision more easy. And then we get a peek of Rocky at home. Like he's taking his orange juice. He's got a lot of pills. So like in recovery, these are all stuff, antibiotics and things to help him with his like post-cancer treatment, I would assume, and also just his age. And Stallone's he goes back and forth with whether or not his plastic surgery looks right for the Rocky. And it's a little extreme in this movie compared to just Creed, which was only a few years earlier. For some reason it looks more prominent now. He may have gotten some things done before this film. And I just like to point that out because
I know
because he looked really weird in Rocky Balboa, to the point where he looked better in Creed than he did in that movie.
There's so Bianca, her argument is because when Donnie is like, what about Rocky? She's like, hey, Rocky's his own man. He has his own life. We've got to start ours. Now, of course, you could argue, does Rocky have his own life? Which I think is that's the point, because it's like he has this distance from his son, who should be an important part of his life. I'll talk about. I watched the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, Matt, after I watched the movie for the first time. And I'll talk about. There's one from the end I'll talk about at the end, but one that was interesting, and I don't know where it would have played. It could have played near the beginning, and maybe it played after Donnie and Bianca go to LA. But it was a nice and depressing scene where Rocky goes to give the eulogy at Spider Rico's funeral.
Oh, and that would have been sad.
Literally says, "You were the last of my old friends."
I mean, like you weren't at my wedding or
right,
or anything, yeah. But
yeah. No, he talks. They cover it all. They say how you wandered back into my life at Adrian's and all that stuff.
It's good. It's good.
But I think the point being that it's like Rocky has no life left because of this, split with his family. He could, and that's what.
So glad they tied that all up.
Yes.
So yeah, and even here we still get him visiting Adrian's grave, which is a great scene because it reminds me that Paulie's still dead. And
he brought Polly another.
I hope he's not doing this daily. I hope it's like a weekly thing. He's buying this whiskey, but whatever.
Right. Yeah. We should mention Buddy Marcel, the promoter, who is definitely not nearly as over the top version.
He is not. He's not as. I mean, he's realistic. Like he's sleazy, but he's also like, look, he knows enough that he's gonna go.
Self-aware. He's like, hey, it's all. So, I'm just doing this.
This guy played by Russell Hornsby, who many people would know. I would know mostly from Grimm, that TV shows, but he's been in a ton of stuff.
But like we because we see him at the beginning watching Victor's match. And then we see him go up to Victor and Ivan saying, I'm sure you heard the news, it's time. And we get the idea that after he watched him that first time, he went to them and said, hey, we can make a lot of money off of you fighting Apollo's son. And now that Apollo's son is actually the champ, we should capitalize on this.
This is where you kind of wonder can Victor actually, I'm just wondering about weight classes here. Like, as far as
yes,
I don't know anything about boxing, but I do know that they're separated by actual weight, because it seems like Victor is way too huge to be fighting in the same class as Adonis. Now, Ivan Drago, obviously, his fight against Apollo was an exhibition fight, and then the fight, none of it was for a title.
Right.
Like when Rocky goes to fight him in Russia, he still obviously towers over Rocky, but it wasn't for a title, and this one was, and he still towers over Adonis in the same way because he's massive. So they kind of skirt
again, as we've talked about, the world of boxing is,
but maybe it's someone more
cinematic.
Someone can write in if they know more about boxing than that, or if this was just sort of movie logic, you know what I mean? Which I'm fine with. I don't care.
We and look, we have to fill in blanks. We mentioned this with the first Creed, but I think this one even more. It's a little weird. Like, I'm like, man, did Rocky never see his grandson? Like, what exactly? It's weird.
I guess not. Well, the real question is, did he know he had a grandson?
Right. He knew he had he mentioned it.
Okay.
He says I wasn't.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah, he does mention my son.
No, I can believe he maybe didn't see
but also because even at the end, it's a great scene. But I also like, it would have been nice if Robert was like, the pictures of Grandpa, but it'd be like, yeah, I never showed him pictures of you. You like, it's a little.
Boy, did that little boy want to play catch?
Yes.
He was like, you want to play catch? You want to play? Yes.
God damn it!
Like not yeah or sure. It was like yes. I've been waiting to. My dad doesn't play catch with me. He sucks. This was Milo Ventimiglia returning as Rocky Balboa Jr., but not This Is Us.
No, he was doing,
or had he started This Is Us?
This Is Us was on at this point. Yeah,
at 20. When was this movie?
This came out in
18. Yeah. He would have been for sure. Okay.
This was
his stock was up when this.
For sure. This was he was riding high with This Is Us when he did this cameo.
He wasn't just Peter Petrelli anymore. He was Johnny This Is Us.
Yes, he was riding high with This Is Us, and Michael B. Jordan, massive year for him because Black Panther opened at the start of this year of 2018, and then this came out at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the Creed 3 box office returns will be like, because it feels like that this was Creed 2 was the perfect time to release this Creed movie because the first one was so well received.
And it's been several years, but I will say, I'll mention I'm seeing Creed 3 in a few hours. But so far I'm hearing really good things about it from people.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a bad movie. I just wonder if people are gonna show up for it,
Yeah. I think they will, but maybe it would have been bigger if it had opened closer to the second one.
All right.
But I want to mention that I really like, again, because the emotional core of this movie in a lot of ways is the Drago family. It's a really nice touch that when Victor and Ivan come to Philadelphia, they go to the Rocky statue, they go to the top of the stairs, and that's the only time in this movie those things happen. So like those iconic, like Rocky, every movie Rocky goes to the top of those stairs. He doesn't in this one.
What was his moment in 4?
He doesn't in 4. You're right. Because
I was going to say
he runs up the mountain. He runs up the mountain.
That's true. Yeah, because in this one, he's like, he also trains him sort of out in nature, except instead of the snow, it's the desert.
What also confuses me about 4 is it's so montagey, flashbacky that because I picture him throwing his motorcycle helmet at a statue it's from 3.
No,
but
that's
in
3.
4,
Yeah.
it's like part of his montage of everything I've ever gone through in my life.
Yeah, honestly,
so
everything that happened in the first 3 movies also happens in 4 because of flashback. So it's hard to separate them. The Drago decides, the Drago family, along with their promoter, decide that now that Adonis has won the title, this is the perfect time to come out from the shadows and challenge him. And so much so that when Adonis is like, hey, when they tell him in the cheesesteak place, hey, you hear this guy talking trash, we expect it's Wheeler. Adonis is like, oh yeah, Wheeler. It's too late. It's too early for a rematch, but it's not. It's Drago.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Ivan meets, he's waiting for Rocky and Adrian's. Again, if there wasn't a hostess there and Rocky just walked in and Drago was sitting there, it would have fueled even more my theories that they were both
no, but
the fact that there's a hostess and she's like, there's a big guy there waiting for you. I was like, all right.
It's not just a hostess. It's Isabel from Rocky Balboa who went on maternity leave so Marie could take that job. So Isabel returns.
This is like fucking Saw, Fast and Furious, and this are the most detail-oriented sagas ever.
I'm like, isn't that the girl from? And then he says Isabel. I'm like, yeah, that is. And I double-checked on IMDb. So yes, Isabel returns.
They should have had her little kid running around, the one that actually she gave birth to because she had to take time off.
That's right. This is a great scene. And I think
it's like the Heat scene, right? It feels like
it is
kind of like the De Niro Pacino scene. Yeah.
Because even, the trailers, they didn't go crazy with it, but they maybe overplayed a little bit. Like the trailers made a meal out of when Ivan and Rocky look at each other in the ring at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like made it maybe seem like there'd be more confrontations between the two of them. But I actually think it's wise to not. And it's a really good scene. And I really like when they're talking, when they first go up and Ivan is looking at all saying nice pictures, but no pictures of me. And Rocky's like, no, there's no pictures of that. And it's like, yeah, it's like that wouldn't be something, even though Rocky won his fight against Ivan because it's so associated with Apollo's death, it wouldn't be something he'd be like.
But also he brings up the fact that's like, you broke something in me that hasn't really, like when he gave him brain damage.
He tells Donnie he broke something in me that never got fixed, which a nice callback to 5. We said they kind of skirted over in Rocky Balboa.
Well, the fact that they're like, you're all better now, time doesn't heal all wounds, but it healed these wounds.
Yeah.
And then we get the same thing where
don't forget, they mention on the news again. It's like they're doing a lot of heavy lifting of like.
Oh God, there's a couple times when the announcers do the heavy lifting here, which is that they tell you the internal thoughts that we are supposed to be filling in.
It's actually very wrestling because
where they say like, can he even consider himself a champion? How can he look at himself in the face? Like this is all stuff that we could feed into it. But they're telling it to us.
That stuff can be a little heavy-handed and cheesy. The example I was going to use is more kind of fixing the mistakes of the past and deepening the flaw. 4 and 5 especially flawed movies, getting some deeper stuff from them. But like one of them saying on the news, how Rocky was heavily criticized for failing to stop that fight.
Oh yeah,
like again because we talk about how Apollo's death becomes laser focused on Rocky getting revenge, but you'd think both he and Marianne and a lot of people would be like, why didn't you throw in that towel?
So this basically, the last movie let us know that he felt guilty about it.
Yes.
And this one let us know that he was also...
Others brought it up, yeah.
Exactly, that it was actually a big thing that people criticized him for. And blamed him for, blamed Apollo's death on him. And
we mentioned how later in this movie Rocky will say "go for it" and bring back sort of a catchphrase of sorts of his. They definitely lead into Ivan Drago famously said, "I will break you," and he keeps talking about breaking.
A couple.
My son will break your boy. Break him. Like he's really into breaking.
Break into electric boogaloo. And so speaking of the announcers, so yeah, after he loses to Victor in the middle, or like he wins by DQ, but gets basically super injured and like taken out of the game for a while. The announcers are like, "Is this the end of Adonis Creed?" All these things where like newspaper headlines or announcers would say, and even when they're fighting the first time, an announcer's like, it all feels so Shakespearean, like to kind of bring up the theatricality and the operatic elements of this crazy premise.
It's like we're watching a long-running movie franchise.
It's crazy. It's
returning to the past.
like something out of the movies. This fight is real. It's kind of like
yes.
But this movie brings in a character who only was in the first movie briefly, which is Little Duke, played by Wood Harris, but brings him in more in a much bigger way.
We briefly see him. He's in Stuntman's Corner in the opening fight.
And so much so that you may not even realize at that point that he is the son of Duke, unless you read the credits at the end. But this one, it actually addresses that, shows pictures of Duke and Rocky together and stuff like that. And once Rocky refuses, Donnie gets pissed and moves to LA, looks up Little Duke, which is, train me, to beat this guy. And like, they're all in on this stuff, even though no one thinks it's a good idea. But here's the thing, this is the gimme of the movie, which is that the smart thing is for Adonis to say no.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and I'm not, I don't think I have really a shred of machismo in me, but can you really say no to the challenge of the son of the guy who killed your father? I'm just saying, like, he would be chastised either way by the media, by fans. Like, either decision he makes would be under scrutiny. Can you imagine if he turned that down? Everyone would shit on him.
Yeah.
So like I feel like realistically, Rocky, Little Duke, Bianca, Mary, everyone should have rallied around him for that first fight, because there's no way he could have feasibly said no to that without severely damaging everything.
Right.
But that's not the movie.
Yeah.
And like,
they go the opposite route. I mean, obviously, Little Duke agrees and helps train him, but because look, this is part 8 of a long-running franchise, even though it's Creed 2. So you're gonna have repeating beats, and like we said, it's like, so a lot seems pulled from Rocky 3 besides Rocky 4, obviously, in this one. But they try to like sort of go maybe even like heavier than before, because while Rocky had many notable fights where like either Mickey or Adrian was like, you shouldn't do this fight, like you said, like everyone in his immediate support system doesn't want him to do this fight. All of the major characters don't think he should take this fight.
Which is crazy, because it's almost like if they should say yes to one fight at all, it's this one, and they should have helped him more. I'm just saying, it's all their fault. But in the middle of this, because he has to tell his mom, who he just calls mom now, like, there's really no talk in this movie of him being taken in and sort of, I don't even know if he was formally adopted or not, but it just talks of Mary being his mom. And
that's true. If you didn't watch the first movie, you would know that that's not his actual
exactly
mother,
And so he has to tell her that he's going to fight Victor, but instead she notices, some of the old wives' tale signs of someone being pregnant, and they find out that Bianca is pregnant, and that becomes sort of another subplot of this movie, because this movie takes place over the course of like a year, because after he gets injured, it's a long time, and she goes through her entire pregnancy and stuff like that, with him being distant and disconnected, as she says, and he's just really broken and beside himself. Blames Rocky for not training him. Do we know why Rocky took a 3-day train to see?
They make some references. It's a little bit the way people criticize the Marty McFly chicken thing for not, being new, when you can be like, yeah, but it just didn't come up. They make it sound earlier in the movie that Rocky doesn't like to fly,
but he's flown like so many places.
He's flown so much.
He flew to Russia,
but he never said I love to fly. So it's not like it's contradicting any information we have, but it's certainly funny to learn a fun fact about Rocky 40 years in, and 8 years.
Maybe he just became a train enthusiast, and he's like, he seemed to like it. He's like the seeing the little places pass by like postcards.
Because I think there's an earlier line Donnie has about, I know you don't like to fly or something. So,
I know, but then he goes to Vancouver at the end.
I know. I'm saying he didn't enjoy the flight.
It was a 7-day train ride to Vancouver.
He's like B.A. Baracus. They have to like knock him out and trick
every
him.
They just drug him or hit him with a lead pipe.
That's a reference to the A-Team TV series,
which had Mr. T in it, who was in Rocky 3.
But his character was very afraid of. He was actually afraid of flying,
like violently afraid. Like he would tear your arms off.
He was so big and tough, but he was so afraid of flying. It was very funny.
What a weenie. Okay,
there's some cool visuals in like that we get the simultaneous training montage of both guys, and Donnie underwater, like doing like shadow punching underwater is cool. The underwater will come back later. I do think it's weird when he convinces little Duke, who they just call Duke for the rest of the movie, to train him, and they make it clear that for people who didn't understand until now that that's Duke's son from the Richard Rock movies. He says, if you ain't going to do it for me, at least do it for them. He points to a picture of Apollo and Duke, and he says, change the way they're remembered. And I'm like, wait, what Duke? What happened to Duke's reputation? Especially since after Apollo died, Duke trained Rocky to successfully beat Drago.
Duke was arrested and brought up on federal charges for human trafficking.
Oh, they left that out.
They left that out. It's like his
Rocky
legacy
Balboa,
is like make people like him again. All right.
Even though he trained two of like the greatest world champions ever multiple times.
Well, he went to Russia that first time. He was like, hey, there's a market here.
Dark stuff.
The dark side of the Duke legacy. The Tony Dukes, because isn't he Tony Junior, yes. Little Duke?
Yeah, says he jokes about that last week. He's like a double junior.
I love double juniors.
Yeah,
it's my favorite Hardee's burger. So and at this point we get a lot of relationship stuff, and we get the question brought up of like, will our kid be born deaf because it's hereditary, and then the actual Amara, the daughter, being born actually deaf. Deaf or hearing impaired? I think deaf. And Adonis having to come to terms with that, and Rocky sort of also helping. Rocky's still there to help him through. As Rocky's trying to sort out his own life and his own emotional baggage, he's still there with his wisdom to treat, with the proposal, the marriage, the pregnancy, and the birth.
We skip past the first fight. I mean, the fight against the first Victor Adonis fight here, just to say that, because I didn't remember that part, I was like, oh, I mean, I know he can't, it can't just be like, yay, Adonis won if they fight again at the end. So I was like, oh, is it totally Rocky 3 and he loses the title? It's not. You joked to me this morning when I was texting you and you said you hadn't finished the movie yet. You said something about like, what if Donnie just loses again? But I was like, well, he didn't lose the first fight, but it'd be funny what if he wins by disqualification again? Like he just keeps getting battered and beaten. Yeah, he just gets his ass handed to him, but he technically
always
wins.
retains his title that way. He's the Ric Flair of.
He's the honky tonk man.
He just gets his ass beat for 60 minutes and then like ekes out manages to squeak out. He just
holds onto that belt. But gets just
super injured, and like they actually call out his injuries as like cracked orbital bone, broken ribs, ruptured kidneys, concussion, all that stuff.
And also Ivan motivating Victor by saying
this is why she left.
That's why she left us. And like that
God.
sort of,
and then so you start feeling too at this point, you start feeling more for Victor, like in this fight, even though he's the monster here. That line is kind of like, this is what he's been told by his father their whole life, is like, and that you have to save our lives, you have to save our situation for us. You are the only one who can get us out of this. You are the only one who can get her back or get us love again, or like it's all heaped on Victor's shoulders. And like the moment at the end when he sees her not sitting there and he gets up and oh God, it's so heartbreaking. Like it's so well done, that part.
Ivan has a great story here, because he's fixated on the past. He's fixated on his son getting back this thing that he lost, and sort of at the expense of his son, but he's going to learn a lesson throughout this. It's really really well done stuff there. And then
Creed is on the shelf. Adonis is on the shelf for so long that the announcers are saying like he's risking forfeiting the title at this point, where he, and they basically have to at this point have a rematch, and you just go with it, where it's like, because he's demanding the rematch, like obviously the Drago family wants it, but because the fight has to be in Russia, like that's part of the demands again. Once more. Like
in Rocky, so one of the characters says like in Rocky 4, and it's weird.
That was weird. And then Rocky is even like, well, like we got to make big changes to your training, and it was super strange when he brought out the poly robot. He's like, this is a big part of it. You got to get.
The other funny thing about the Spider Rico scene is it sets up where Rocky takes him. Because
okay, because I was like, this
That's
is
where
not a
Spider
callback
Rico trained
in a movie
yes.
that is so in a franchise that is so full of callbacks and like the details of the past. This came out of nowhere, except that it echoed the natural outdoor style training of 4 in the frozen tundra of Russia. This one was like, okay, well, I guess it's like the opposite. It's heat instead of cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no setup for that. I was going to ask you even.
In the when he's delivering the eulogy, he kind of tells Spider Rico's story and mentions, and he told me where he trained out in the desert. Like, so it's clearly, and it's not like they go in depth about it, but it's like,
man, one ADR line could have solved that. It's like old friend Spider trained out here. Like, you know what I mean? Like they could have said something.
Yeah. But there you go. I wondered about that too. That's where that came from.
And so, yeah, the training montage where they actually, this is a really cool element here. They turn the Creed score into the song.
Yes.
Where they're like fighting harder, they use, instead of the Rocky theme, they're using the Creed score, which works really well. And he's like, lifting weights with his neck and like fighting it with his feet inside tires and running in the super heat and doing all that stuff.
And showing, I will say, like kind of an evolution of these training montages, like showing Donnie puking, collapsing in a way we know, like they didn't do with Rocky. Like usually it's just like he's training so well. They want to show like how hard work this is a little more even. So
this seems like a lot of work, and I would be out. No, thank you, Eric. Right, is what I would say.
I'm good.
Seems difficult. Who
do I give this belt to?
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? I'm not gonna go get a job at Trader Joe's. They got great health insurance. And then we get to the unless there's something I skipped, we get to Russia, unless you want, which is like a huge arena at this point. And one of the reasons why I thought I didn't know Bianca was going to go there with him, because when he's training, and obviously they're not going to bring the baby to the desert, but he goes on video calls with her. And so I just figured she was going to be back home, which is why I thought she was a phantom when she was singing during his big entrance.
Quick thing, just because I'm thinking about it when you mentioned Bianca, they clearly are evoking Adrian in her outfit in the first Drago Creed match with the beret. She's wearing this outfit and hat that are very Adrian.
Speaking of that, we didn't talk about the dinner where Ludmila shows up.
Yes.
Which is, we don't know who this important guy is who's gifting stuff to Victor, but this is what Ivan's wanted. He was wanted back into respectable society, and where he's lauded, and his son has always been his ticket, which is why the ending is great, because he finally is he sees him as a human and as his son, and hopefully sets them on this path of reconciliation to the point where maybe they're just fine living their lives in Kiev, and they don't have to fixate. But so she shows up, and it just really it doesn't throw Ivan that much. It just really gets to Victor to the point where he leaves the entire table.
And him getting the scene with Ivan where he's like, I don't know that woman, and we're like, okay, so she's actually the villain here. It's like she completely abandoned her kid. She was only about status.
Well, it's interesting, two fighters who've been abandoned by their parents in different ways, one through death and one but one may as well have been dead, because it seemed right when he was a baby, really.
And then point. It's obviously it's the through line of the movie, because then Rocky has this rift with his son. So hey, it's a big theme in the movie, the relationship with the parents throughout.
Yeah. Just, again, cool in these legacy sequels, getting them back. So Brigitte Nielsen returning.
Her and Ventimiglia were the big surprise appearances that were,
did people not know she was in this?
No, her and
that's cool.
They kept that quiet on both of them. So those were good moments in the theater, to see them both.
Okay, so final fight. Drago at this point gets a big entrance because he didn't the first time around. There was just, and then Adonis gets his big flashy entrance because and the announcers even ever the showman, just like his father, so he gets that still. Bianca is real.
If they really wanted to go for it, they would have done a new cool version of Living in America.
I was gonna say like Post Malone doing it, or
right.
Man, and then Mary's there too, so she made the flight over. Despite being there for the first time and witnessing her husband being killed, but she's there at this point, which I'm glad, because she didn't make it to the fight in the first movie. The first movie she watched on TV in Creed. So
Right. And a really weird thing I forgot to mention, in both these movies, it's too bad we don't get a really good Marianne Rocky scene. They're in one moment together in the
You're right. You're
hospital.
right. They really did need that, where she
Yeah.
forgives him, or there's something said about the
Yeah,
past.
I understand, because in the last movie they made sure to mention, you haven't talked to her since the funeral. And then in this one, I get it's 3 years later. They would have talked by now because she would have been, around Donnie and
Eric,
him.
maybe Mary's dead.
Maybe she's dead.
Oh my God, I have to rewatch this.
Right. But it is too bad. I would have. So they have a little bit of interaction. They casually talk to each other when the baby's born. But I would have liked a actual like meaty scene between the two of them. Yeah.
Meaty scenes slapping meat.
That's right.
And then we get the big fight again. Still visually intriguing, good fight. I like, the choreography between these two is amazing. Like the punches look really cool. There's actually technique in these boxing matches now, with blocking and dodging.
You feel like the painful moments feel painful.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really good.
They make sure to, because they mentioned like, we can't let this go to decision. They'll be biased. And it doesn't go too far over the top with like the bias, except for that at least one of his like sucker punches to the ribs is let go, like is they
because he held on to him and it was supposed to be a dirty tactic and stuff like that. But really good fight, goes several rounds. Again, they make sure to let you know that once again the adversary has not gone beyond 3 or 4 rounds before, so like taking them beyond that is like a big deal for the hero, and it works in their advantage because they can't go the distance. And then eventually he starts making Victor bleed, and good back and forth match. But it's really most notable for the turns that come on the Drago side, and like the motivation stuff that's being said to Adonis versus the motivation that's being said to, again, Drago, which is like, you're embarrassing us, take him down, what's wrong with you, all the stuff that Ivan heard the first time around.
Yes,
but like.
And Ivan is fixated on Ludmilla. He keeps looking back to see, her, and then until she goes. And then also it's like Victor's big motivate, because again, it's a nice switch on the formula, because the fight becomes about the fact that Victor won't give up, even though he should at this point.
Yes.
And he keeps making himself get up again. And he's motivated when he sees his mom left. Again, it's like his anger and his pain. And so it's like he, at this point,
so he's not in the right headspace, which is what they criticized Adonis for the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it all works out. You have to have your heart in the right place, your head in the right place. And as Rocky said in the last movie, you're fighting you, right? So that's the whole thing. Great stuff from Dolph Lundgren here, and Drago. Dolph Lundgren, obviously criticized heavily over the years for not being the best actor in the world. Very, very charismatic in person. Great interview, just all that stuff. Somehow it's just never fully translated to screen in the way, even in roles where he's supposed to be charismatic and more chatty. He never matches who he is as a real person, but he's really good in this as far as being like having to do these really sort of subtle emotional moves as somebody who is closed off and stoic. And
he's great. And
he's
had
great.
A huge resurgence here because this came out a month apart from Aquaman. So it's just kind of like he was suddenly like, really kind of like in a bigger place than he'd maybe ever been, arguably, because when they made him like a leading man in action movies, those were very B-level action movies that didn't become like mainstream hits.
I interviewed him on video over the summer, I believe, when I interviewed him, Van Damme, and Roland Emmerich separately, and it got compiled into a big Universal Soldier retrospective video that you can watch on IGN. But he gave the best quotes, so most of the stuff is actually from him in the video package, because he was great.
And I like him a lot. And then obviously, we mentioned it before, but him throwing in the towel is such a great moment. It's so emotional, and the fact that it takes Rocky not throwing in the towel from Rocky 4 makes it so much more powerful. No one's ever thrown in the towel in this series. But here you don't feel like it's like a quitting, giving out. It's like, because Victor would have like let himself die to finish.
And that's the thing is and it's also showing that moment showed love. And it was the first thing first type of sentiment we'd seen from Ivan in any of these movies. So, really great stuff. Again, already mentioned at the top, but like the whole end with that, Adonis going to visit Apollo's grave, Rocky going to visit Rocky Jr. and then seeing Logan, Ivan jogging with Victor, not like driving him and training him and saying run faster, but jogging next to him. Like that's all you needed. That was great. Mm-hmm. And oh God, the line, "You look just like his mother." When he says that to his grandson.
Yes.
That got me too. And nothing had gotten me Rocky related until that.
It's a really wonderful final sequence. The other notable deleted scene, which was interesting, but I also think it was probably better served, and I'm sure they went back and forth on it, but I think it was the right call to cut it, was a big locker room scene after the fight. Because so we should also mention, like, you know, they make a big thing of Rocky, like, this is your time, and he kind of sits aside ringside while everyone's celebrating. But there was a scene in the locker room after where Victor's all beat up and Adonis sits down next to him and says, and he's crying, he's like very emotional, and Donnie's like, you know, you'll get past this, like, you know, I've been there, like tells him about like what it's like to like feel like you just lost big. Then but you know, of course they have this big sort of like, how do you deal with Ivan and these people when he did kill Apollo? And it's like Ivan walks in, and that makes Donnie get up, and they kind of have like a little bit of a silent nod, and Donnie leaves, and then Rocky walks by and he sees Ivan sitting with Victor, and he's kind of comforting him, and Rocky and Ivan have a little nod. But I feel like it wasn't needed. Like, it was interesting, but I feel like the way they did it is better.
If that scene between Adonis and Victor had led to them saying, you know, Rocky died 5 years ago, and he's like, you know, my dad died 5 years ago too, and that's would have been worth it. But yeah, it works. It does. I don't know that it would have been a hat on a hat, but it would have felt maybe a little extraneous.
Also because, like, this movie humanizes Ivan Drago and the Drago family to a huge extent. And again, this ending did in no way had either Rocky or Donnie say, you know what, Ivan, I forgive you. But there's only, you know, at a certain point, it's like he did what he did, and they can't undo that. So it's like you can't, like, it's okay that we can sympathize with Ivan and be like, but they're never going to be cool with each other. He still killed Apollo.
No, and honestly, like, if Cobra Kai had just made Daniel and Johnny cool with each other, that would have been a miracle in its own right. Instead, they made them best friends.
Right. But again, no one had been murdered.
No one had been murdered at that point. So.
Yeah, like Mr. Miyagi wasn't killed in the ring.
He didn't he didn't curb stomp Mr. Miyagi and kill him in front of Daniel
and say, I don't care if he dies.
If he dies, he dies. Anyway, Creed 2. It's not as good as the first one, but man, the Drago stuff is great, and it's still an awesome, solid film. Better than most of the Rocky sequels, and better than 4. I liked it more than Rocky 4. I liked this. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, this movie can't be good without 4.
No, it retroactively deepens 4, and that's really impressive. I mean, obviously, we said the first Creed did too by its very existence.
Well, and the way Cobra Kai retroactively deepens Karate Kid 3.
3, right. Yeah, take even a series that operates on such a silly level, but the fact that we've talked, like, you know, the Fast and Furious series embracing like the most like forgotten or thrown away sequels. It's like everything matters, and we can make it a whole.
And the things that actually once mattered least matter more. It's kind of like also how the MCU made the Dark World super important in certain elements. You know, in movies, as a movie that a lot of people maybe would skip during a MCU rewatch.
Yeah. So. And then before we wrap up, I want to mention like what's happened since off screen. It's messy, unfortunately, but it's just so when this movie came out, I remember when this movie came out, there was a lot of talk that like this might be the last time we see Rocky, and clearly the movie is designed where that it can be a graceful way, like, you know, that he is no longer going to probably train Adonis. He'll have a nice relationship with his son again. But then a lot of things changed behind the scenes, and you had I was looking it up, and it was like 2019 is when Stallone's like, I have a script for a new movie with Rocky training another young guy. And we knew Creed 3 was happening, but it's going to be he's going to train like a legal immigrant, and it was going to touch upon immigration issues. He also was developing a streaming series about young Rocky, a prequel series he wanted to do. But this was also when we really started to get the how much Stallone hates Irwin Winkler and feels he was screwed over by him, stuff, and him actively talking about a guy who he'd have to work with to make these projects happen. And yet like feels like, I've gone to him time and time again and said, am I do this? And it's a weird thing because you can agree, like on principle, you can say, hey, he created this thing from the ground up. This is his character. So it is kind of a shame he has no ownership. On the other hand, this is not a Jack Kirby situation because he has gotten fucking hundreds of millions of dollars because he's played this character. Just the character alone, they mentioned, like the article I was reading was like, he got for Creed 10 million. He got 15 million for Creed 2. And that's on top of all the money he made in the 80s just for playing Rocky, on top of it giving him his entire career. So he's
and
probably
directing the movies and producing
and
the movies,
yeah.
Like writing, like he was doing all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't, because he'll even say stuff about like, this is about my kids. Like they should get that ownership. But I'm like, aren't you going to leave your kids like hundreds of millions of dollars either way?
Apparently, Eric, and I can't speak from experience, once you get $100 million, I guess it's not enough.
I guess it's not.
I guess at that point you need $2 billion, and because it's not enough to just not worry about anything else for the rest of your life. You have to like somehow take money away from the rest of the world. Okay,
so that's a whole weird thing. And then the other thing is reading between the lines. It's like, and you have to. I think we can understand where it comes from as far as like, look. I mean, not only the fact that Sylvester Stallone, I'm sure, has a huge ego. It's just like a giant person, a movie. He's been a giant star for decades, and he did create this character. But, notably, I was thinking about this. I'm like, Creed, the first Creed, first time ever that Sylvester Stallone was delivering lines as Rocky that he didn't write, right?
And of course, they were good. They were really good.
The movie is acclaimed. I mean, he wrote great lines for Rocky too, and then he wrote some not so great lines. But, the movie's so acclaimed, he gets an Oscar nomination. But guess what? Creed 2's announced, and guess what is first announced? Sylvester Stallone writing and directing was the first announcement, and then it changed to just writing. So he did write the second one, but other writers worked on it too. So one is credited, but I know Cheo Coker, the showrunner of Luke Cage, worked on Creed 2. And then they suddenly announced that he wouldn't be directing it after conversations with Michael B. Jordan and the producers. I feel like you can read between the lines, and there was like more of a rift here and a battle over just like who's controlling all of this, because, and even Stallone has said, hey, they were going a different direction. Irwin Winkler and Michael B. Jordan, I'm sure that there was a certain point where it's just like Stallone is trying to control everything because he created all this, but now it's not him calling the shots. And I'm sure that was a bitter pill to swallow. But yeah, like, because he talked about it, because he even says he's not in Creed 3 because they went in a direction I didn't want to go in. So yeah, it's too bad it's all messy.
Which was to make Rocky an alien.
Right. It's too bad it's messy. I would never count out seeing him play Rocky again because we know how these things work and how
though I don't want him to, so it's fine.
I don't need him to. I don't need him to,
and I don't want him to.
It's probably best served, and I think he's had points where he knew, okay, it's time to gracefully step aside, and Rocky Balboa was that point, and then Creed came and it was so great, and then Creed 2 gave him a great out, but then he was like, no, I'm going to do all these other things where I keep playing Rocky.
I'm going to ruin these perfect endings.
But now he can't do that without other people okaying it. So yeah, we'll see. And then we should mention also that last year, one of the things that set him off, because he's done several like Instagram rants about this, and Irwin Winkler, was the announcement that they were developing a Drago spinoff about Victor and Ivan. And he did a very angry, they're screwing me over again, and Dolph no call thing about that. And then Dolph Lundgren and him had to like hash that out.
Such millionaire babies.
Right? It's
I can't
okay,
even believe.
everyone. Y'all got Scrooge McDuck, yeah. And again, it's like,
if I had $1 million, much less $50 million, no one would ever hear a peep from me ever again. I would be gone. All these people need to be heard and like have to be like, I exist. Yeah. Like that's one of the things that we've learned in the past 5 years that I don't think we were aware of before, is that some of the richest people in this world are the biggest boo-boo cry shit babies that you'll ever see in your life.
Oh, absolutely. And it crosses over with very talented people. And in Hollywood especially, where it's like so many people we all love are kind of assholes on some level or the other, even though they
no
make
matter,
great
even
shit.
though they
Yeah.
don't have to be, even though they don't have to be, they don't have to
They don't
say
have to
anything.
be, but yeah.
God, it's crazy. Silence is so fucking free. It hurts. I can't even believe it.
I mean, we of course. I mean, as I'm even mentioning his Instagram rants, the whole like social media probably teaching us more about people we love that we need to see.
But that's
yeah,
the other thing is like all these rants are. It's like, who is he? He's like, oh, I got my 2 cents out there. Now things will happen and people will like me, or people.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. You all just it's. It also,
Yeah,
it
well,
all, it makes-
no,
just
but
makes
some
it look-
people will feed into it. He just recently posted, here's script notes I wrote for Rocky 7. You'll never see it because they wouldn't let me or whatever. And of course he's going to get a bunch of like,
yeah, but
"They
it's
screwed
just
you
all the
over."
weird
Yeah.
sycophants that call you king and like all that bullshit. Like, it's
I
all
believe his
just, just a
Rocky,
bunch of internet dick writing. Yeah.
I only glanced at his Rocky 7 thing, but I know it had a scene. It sounded like he wanted to bring Talia Shire back for some dream sequence or something, because it was like, or maybe even just VO, but it was something where she was speaking to him.
As the voice of the poly robot.
Yes.
Put her brain inside the robot. He's like, I can finally talk to Adrian again.
Okay, maybe they should greenlight his Rocky 7. All right.
The only instance where I would accept him playing Rocky again is if they put Adrian's brain in the
Hey,
robot.
Robert, you remember the robot? Well, it's your mom now.
It's like, he's like, get that out of here. Don't talk to your mother like that. Yeah.
All right. That was every Rocky and Creed movie so far.
All right.
That was fun. That was a fun
switching gears from sports underdog movies to horror splatter gore movies with The Evil Dead starting next week, on our way to Evil Dead Rise, which looks like a hoot and a holler and a shiny silver dollar.
We're gonna get messy again, guys. Some splatter coming at you.
And no one will be there to throw in the towel. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Life's what you make it. Can't